Let's not stand on ceremony, mate. Let's start the show.
We would be honored if you would join us.
We're not having technical difficulties because we have an awesome producer in here today, but I just screwed it up.
The awesome producers made things more confusing. I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, we just talk, so
it's
that's
fine.
cool.
I'm just messing with you. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
What's up, man? How you
Not
doing?
a whole lot. I'm good. I'm
Yeah?
good.
Yeah,
I'm
good?
glad to see that it's Sunday and we haven't had any incidents at movie theaters across the country.
I was concerned about that.
I actually was. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm happy about it too, of course. And I was, I did the box office this morning. Joker did very well,
Ridiculously well. Yeah.
I believe 94 million here, 234 million worldwide for Joker.
It's a lot of freaking
It's not
cash.
bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad for a $60 million movie. I believe it was.
I wonder
60 or 90 million. I don't remember.
Has there been anything about the reception? Like, obviously, we know I don't really want to call it backlash, but the warnings and stuff like that in America. Obviously, we know in the States we have, unfortunately, more propensity towards that kind of stuff for the movies. Across the world, I wonder if they were taking it, if any other warnings were going out, or they have problems like this anywhere else, or that was just here that was like, hey, we actually need to put a warning out for a
No,
movie.
it's probably just here.
That's
For
great.
those who don't know, I am Travis Hobson of PunchdrunkCritics.com. That is John Nolan, my partner in crime, also from PunchdrunkCritics.com. And this is Smash Cut, and we are here talking movies as usual. And we started off talking about Joker right off the bat because Joker had a big week at the box office. And when I did the box office this morning, I was predicting that it would have a really good week too. Even though Gemini Man is coming out and some other stuff. You're ridiculous. It's coming out next week as well as we start to ramp up into the award season. A couple more action movies are coming out as well, like Gemini Man. But it's hard to categorize Gemini Man as just an action movie because it's directed by Ang Lee, so it's more than that. But anyway, I predicted that Joker would have a good second week because I do believe that there are a certain amount of people who did not want to go the first week because of the threat of violence.
Yeah.
I know people, myself, who stayed home the first weekend just because, hey, you just don't know. And I think that because it's been relatively peaceful, there have been no major incidents this weekend, that those people will now go ahead and buy their tickets.
Yeah,
will feel free to go ahead and see Joker.
Bad
So
does
I think it does. It's pretty ridiculous, but it's just the world we live in right now, or should I say, the country we live in right now. It's just not the world that has these kinds of issues. It's us.
Yeah,
sadly,
the rest of the world has plenty of other issues, but we have this one
not
particularly
saying the
to
world
ourselves.
is perfect outside our borders, but
right.
But this problem is fairly unique to us. So I do believe that we'll see a lot of people go and buy their tickets to see this movie for week 2.
I was kind of, if we're right into talking Joker, I was kind of disappointed. Disappointed is not the right word. I was kind of surprised. I have never been. I think I even said last week that movies are not the cause of any violence, but I was surprised at myself leaving there saying, yeah, that I could see how that movie. It was a great movie. Don't get me wrong. Let me start with that. But in my mind, I can definitely see how if I was off kilter, if I was close to the edge, the things that play out in that movie, how that could almost because it played out like a fever dream for one of these school shooters or something like that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like we talked about. Joker. I don't think it's a great movie. I think it's a good movie. I enjoyed enough of it, and I posted on Twitter. I was like, it's okay for me to enjoy it, but still have major criticisms of it, right? It didn't seem like it because people are always how it goes, man. You're either on one side of the shit or you're on the other.
Yeah.
People always stay divided and polarized when it comes to shit like this. And I didn't want it to be one of those situations where I'm forced to like demolish a movie that I think is actually pretty good.
Right.
You know, because that's the way people are. If you either think it's amazing or you think it stinks. And I don't think that's the case. I think it's a good movie that I have issues with, you know? But people want you to like trash the movie.
Oh yeah, you can't just say,
you
can't give a movie a C anymore. You
Right.
can't say it's either an F or it's an A.
Right. You can't do that. And I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to sit there and trash the movie. You know, I don't want to do that just to justify the fact that I gave it a 3 out of 5.
When you're doing that, you're reviewing the movie for a very small set of people. If that's what you're doing out there, I mean, if you're not going out and just saying what's good and what's bad about it, what you liked and why, and what you didn't like and why, then you're doing an injustice to anybody you're talking to, because you're telling them your specific thought and nobody's you. But did the problems you have with the movie, did they have anything to do with the controversies around it, or is it more regular movie stuff?
I think my issues with the movie had to do largely with Todd Phillips really aping Martin Scorsese's style a little too much, not putting enough of himself into the movie. That's one problem I had. And yeah, I don't want to say it's necessarily because of the violence that it could inspire. It's more about the fact that I don't feel like they understood the potential of what they were doing. Right. So like when we saw in the whole run up to this, Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips, really rushing to defend the movie, which is fine. Defend the movie. It's your film. Go ahead. But in the movie itself, it's visual and audio choices that they make that make people say, "Hey, this guy is in the right for what he's doing." And so like in some cases, like after he would do something really awful, they would play like a song that is uplifting and anthemic, and and I guess it's supposed to be sort of a freeing of his spirit in the sense, but
right.
Even that is too much. Right, even that is too much. It's telling the audience what he just did is okay. That's not what they intend. They may not even see it that way, but that's what it does. That's what I view it.
So they have a responsibility almost to speak to the morals that the audience should have, and I don't mean that in like any kind of critical way, but you can't go out there and make a movie.
I'm all for movies about terrible people.
Right.
Like those are a lot of my favorite movies.
But does it have to condemn the terrible people in it? Does it have to show that what they're doing? Because I thought that was the weird thing.
I think you need to be clear on where you want to stand. I think you need to be clear. I'm not so sure that he's clear, that Todd Phillips is clear on what he wants us to think about the Joker.
Right.
He kind of plays it both ways in a lot of senses too. Like he does a lot of horrible things. The worst things that he does, he reserves for people who are also really bad or objectively bad.
Right.
Right. We talked about, we haven't talked about him yet, but like Thomas Wayne appears in the movie, Bruce Wayne's father.
Right.
And he's not the Thomas Wayne that you've seen in like the comics.
He's not the doctor. He's not the nice guy.
He's kind of a douche. There's this anti-rich sentiment that's flowing through Gotham City, and he's sort of the emblem of it, right? And he's not that great of a guy. So when something bad happens to him, do you really feel bad about it? There are other characters that are, fairly, I guess you could say, bad people. They're not. This guy should be murdered bad. None of them are.
Right.
Even Thomas Wayne. None of them are. But the movie doesn't really make that distinction. It doesn't really do that. And then there are other things that he does to people who are completely innocent, or at least I think. Now, but there's stuff that in that case, I think you know who I'm talking about.
I kind of wondered if we're talking about the same person. I kind of wondered if anything actually happened there.
Right, and that's the thing. I think that something does, and I don't think that they show it because that would be pushing him too far over the edge for us, for the audience.
So you're like almost saving his likability by not showing that.
Right.
All right, yep.
But there's no reason why something would not have happened given the circumstances.
Right.
So I think that something does happen, but they don't show it because for audiences, that would be a bridge too far.
Right.
And I feel like you need to take a stand on what you think the Joker is. You need to take a stand.
Is he a good guy?
I know
is he a bad
what
guy?
the Joker is in every other version of the Joker I've ever seen.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether it's Cesar Romero or Heath Ledger who plays him.
Right.
I know where I stand on the Joker. And I know where they stand on where the filmmakers stand on the Joker. In this one, they are trying to play it both ways.
Yeah. I mean, I argued with myself a little bit on whether he was.
This is why I gave it a 3.
Yeah, and I can see that. I mean, I can see that ambiguity being a problem. I mean, as per usual, now that you're saying this stuff, I'm actually thinking deeper into it. But one of my things was that I thought it was more the problem we had with it was more a sign of the times that we're in than anything else. Because it feels like 20 years ago we wouldn't have had to be told that what he was doing was bad, but we're in a place now where there's people that can't tell the difference. So by not saying it's bad, But I didn't fault the movie with that. I maybe the only thing I faulted the movie with that is maybe not knowing the era you were in. But we didn't used to have to tell these things. That being said,
it's from the master.
Yeah. That is from the master, but it's still Joaquin Phoenix.
It's still Joaquin Phoenix, yes.
That being said, there are, my issues with it really came to more pacing. There were parts where it was really slow, and part of that was part. I couldn't tell. Part of that was intended as the movie makes you freaking uncomfortable. And if you're going into this for a fun time and to be comfortable, you're in the wrong movie. Because you're going to be very uncomfortable, whether it's the horrible things he does or the weird things he does, like giving his mother a sponge bath.
A friend of mine took her 2 daughters to see it, like young daughters, and I was just like, I don't know how I feel about that.
I hope they had therapy appointments right afterwards.
I don't know if that's good or not.
Yeah. I think this is definitely an R movie. I mean, this is not one of those, and it's going to be an important lesson for a lot of people because up to this point, even in Deadpool, the vulgarity and the violence were comical, but now this is a whole nother level.
The girls as he beats.
Yeah, I know, and he keeps every time I see this, I feel like he's like, look at her boobies.
All you see is his hand right there, right below her boobs.
These are her boobies. Yeah. But the one thing that I can really agree with you on is the Thomas Wayne bit. Like I felt like if they wanted to, if they really needed to show that he was actually the bad guy, that was their place to do it. Mm-hmm. Didn't need to make him a douchebag. You could have just made him a rich guy who was doing rich guy things, but they took it. You didn't have to make him a good doctor who's this bright shining light, but just make him a regular guy, a rich guy that's trying to do rich guy things. You don't have to make him a douchebag. You don't have to put in the other angle that they put in there. I mean, You know what this reminded me of? It reminded me of that movie Manhunter, which was, the 80s Silence of the Lambs?
It was the sequel to Silence of the Lambs. It was the one where they...
sequel or the prequel?
Wasn't it a sequel or was it a prequel? I don't remember.
It came out before Silence, but it might have been
it came out
sequel
after Silence.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, okay.
Wasn't it? Wasn't that the one that was...
Red Dragon came out. I thought
Red Dragon is the movie. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, that one's a sequel, yeah.
Red Dragon, where they made him sort of like an anti-hero.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody he went after was basically somebody, a lot like the people in this movie.
Right.
Arguably just as bad. Mm-hmm. Or just bad people. Yeah. Right? Again, most of these people don't really deserve to have, to be murdered. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nobody does.
But they're bad enough that you don't feel bad about what happens to them.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie tries to do with Joker. It has them go after people who are just bad enough that you don't really feel bad.
And it treads the line into the acceptable people. Like
I don't want that from the Joker.
The first murders that get committed are, in movie parlance, in real world obviously not, but in movie parlance, they're acceptable. They're, people that you could see somebody killing and you'd be like, okay. But then the one with the guy that he knows, I'm trying not to spoil anything here.
Of course.
But the one like that crossed the line to me. That was back into the, okay, now we're rooting for this guy. And the only, if you want to talk about the politics or the morality of this movie, the big problem I had, or the big disconnect that the filmmakers and Joaquin Phoenix had, are that they were quoted many times saying, we made this character somebody nobody could identify with. Yeah. And granted, he has severe mental illness and he's very weird, but to think that you couldn't identify with him. I mean, shit, I can see points in my life that I could have, not really, but I've had really bad days.
That time when you were a clown who held up signs for a living.
It was the recession of 2008, and I needed a job.
I get it, man.
And I can spin signs.
I get it, man. I get it, man. I think all of us aren't that far away from being a guy who holds up a sign on the corner.
Right. But I mean, we've all been in places where we've been kicked while we're down repeatedly, and it feels like right when you start to get back up, you get kicked again, and like that aspect of it, you can get with it. But even still, the big climax of the movie, I wasn't ready for. My stomach hurt when I saw what I saw, and you knew it was going to happen, and it's kind of foreshadowed. I mean, everybody's been talking about the Killing Joke, so in a way, it's
there
somewhat
aspects of it,
some way it's foreshadowed.
A little bit the Killing Joke, a little bit the King of Comedy, a little bit Taxi Driver, a little bit of a lot of things.
Yeah, and we'll talking about Taxi Driver. That's the big difference in Taxi Driver, where they. I can tell now. See, you always get me to argue on your side of things. Like I was trying to argue that it was a great movie, that was a little wrong. But as far as if you're gonna argue the morality, you can't use Taxi Driver as the example, because that's what they've been doing. Taxi Driver. But Taxi Driver ends with a shootout of a bunch of child pimps and drug dealers. These are obviously bad people, and that's not the way. I mean, that's not the way this movie ends.
Yeah,
let's say. And then after the climax of the movie, it's even like, this is when I was thinking Taxi Driver. There's a big thought that Travis Bickle died when he was on the stairs, and all this stuff you see afterwards and I kind of wondered if they were going for that in the last part of this. But
did you think he was going to be revealed as Travis Bickle like it is?
Yeah, exactly. I thought he was going to pull back and have a mohawk. No, but that maybe what we were seeing wasn't actually what was happening in the world. But if you had any question about this movie making him an anti-hero, that question's answered by the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie tries to play both ways in a lot of different respects. I talked about the one before, but also in its use of the Batman universe. Like, I really kind of wish they didn't use the Batman universe at all. I mean, I'd rather they have not even included Thomas Wayne. I'd rather they had not included his son Bruce. And I certainly would rather they had not included the scene we get at the end of the movie.
Yeah, and I think
which people will know. And you know what? I look, when that scene happened, my only shock was that it didn't happen earlier. Yeah, because I thought they were going to show it earlier in the movie, but instead they held it to the end so it could be like this sort of twist shock thing. And I was just like, yeah, I mean, I wish you guys hadn't done that. Yeah, because I mean, look, if you're going to make this movie and you're gonna make it seem as if it's not part of the Batman mythos, it's not part of anything, then you leave that shit out. You just don't reference it. Don't do it at all.
All or nothing. Yeah.
All or nothing. But you do this bullshit. You put this in there, and what you get are like what I got, which was questions like, so is this going to be leading? Is this going to connect to the Batman? Is this going to be blah blah blah? What does this have to do with Batman versus Superman? These are the questions you get from casual viewers who don't pay attention to this crap the way we do. And all you're doing is confusing people. Right. So why do it? And then I know they do it because they want people to think that it might.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
They want people to think that it might. And it doesn't, and they won't. You won't see this Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker again, most likely. Doesn't mean they can't set a movie in this universe, on the other hand.
See, I've been thinking about that, and like I as much as I think you and I said the same thing during the movie. As soon as that scene came up, like, they didn't have to do that. That could have been left out. But I can't help but to wonder what a Batman in this universe would look like, because everybody thinks of Batman as a hero.
They set him up.
What's that?
They've kind of set him up.
They've set it up, but you think of Batman as a hero, but also Joker and Batman have always been two sides of the same coin. So all the things we're saying about Joker, if you think about it, Batman can be accused of the same things. It's just that the people he chooses to beat the shit out of and kill, depending on what version you're watching.
Doesn't really kill. So.
Yeah, he doesn't kill in the comics. 89 Batman threw like 12 people off a roof. But, the people he doesn't kill. He maims and permanently injures, especially in this universe. I mean, you'd have a Batman that's, you could argue that people that weren't all that bad, like some guy selling weed on the corner, and Batman comes up, "What are you doing selling this weed?" And then just breaks his legs, and the guy's crippled forever.
Have we ever seen Batman do that?
I don't know.
Or is that just?
I said in this universe. We haven't seen Joker doing something.
We haven't seen Batman do anything in this universe.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Look, they just didn't need to do it, and I don't like it. I have this weird feeling though that that at the end of the Batman, there'll be this like post scene that ties these movies together.
$250 million opening weekend. You better believe that might be a possibility. It might be
something that Matt Reeves has no intention of doing. But they say, you know what, the movie, but Joker was such a success, let's add this and just tie these movies together.
That's what you'll
I'd
have.
not be surprised by that shit at all if that were to happen.
Money can make all kinds of bridges in Hollywood. When you have a movie make $250, set the October opening weekend record, you better damn well believe they're going to try and find a way to not make it a one-off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
Even though it's technically it's supposed to be a prestige film. It's supposed to be a Taxi Driver type movie. Those don't have sequels, but you better believe that they're going to find a way to do something.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's a Golden Lion Award winner. The movie is critically acclaimed. Although a friend of mine pointed out something really funny about it. It's because at the last I saw, its Rotten Tomato score was like 73%.
Yeah.
I added mine, which may have bumped it up a little bit, but it was about 74% as of a couple days ago.
69.
It's down to 69 now.
Yeah.
Which means it's doing worse than the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, which everybody said was a disaster.
Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, when you come to Rotten Tomatoes scores, at least in this,
Yes.
I think there is something to be said for a political climate around Rotten Tomatoes, especially with the scores. I mean, most of the scores that are given there, Ghostbusters 2016 is going to get higher scores than it probably should have because,
if that Ghostbusters had come out now,
yeah.
it would have done twice the business.
You think so?
Yes, absolutely.
91% audience rating.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, the audiences feel differently about it than the critics do. That's the way it normally goes.
Wait, why do you think Ghostbusters would do better now?
Because at the time it came out, we weren't in the Me Too movement that we are in now. We weren't in this post Wonder Woman version of Hollywood where female led movies have really been boosted up by audiences who want to see more of that stuff.
It must have been longer ago than I thought
No,
because I feel like it was
2016, man.
in the mix of all that.
No, not really. It was right at the beginning. It was just before. It was just before, and this was the time when toxic fandom had basically destroyed that movie weeks before it had ever come out.
Right. It wasn't that good though.
And we didn't understand. I mean, I like it, and I think a lot of people do like it, but it's just that we didn't understand toxic fandom at that point the way we do now.
Right.
Like this is pre the Last Jedi, or this is pre that. We kind of had this understanding of where these people were coming from, all these weak ass dudes who hate anything with women in it,
Right.
And
yeah.
we didn't understand it back then.
No.
So we let them sandbag the hell out of that movie, and they did. They killed that movie long before it ever hit theaters.
Wasn't that one of the ones that had some of these places changing how they accept reviews? I know that.
I think that came a little bit after.
Was it after? Yeah,
it came a little bit after.
I feel like that wasn't.
But
But
I feel like
my concept of time is so broken these days.
You
I don't
think
even
about
know.
a year later, we had Wonder Woman,
Right.
which broke through all that.
My concept of time is screwed because I can't believe that those were a year apart.
We had Wonder Woman, which broke through all that. We had Ocean's 8, which killed it. We've had a number of high-profile female-led movies since then,
Right.
that have broken through the toxic fandom.
Yeah.
Despite their attempts.
Fair enough, yeah.
But Ghostbusters, we didn't understand it quite well enough at that point. I feel like if it come out now,
I mean,
or even last year, it would have done a lot better than it did.
Let me be clear. Ghostbusters wasn't bad. I think Kristen Wiig is amazing in just about everything she's in. Melissa McCarthy was great in
Kristen
it.
Wiig. That's
She's a gorgeous woman. Chris Hemsworth, obviously. I know we're talking about girl power here, but Chris Hemsworth was an awesome part of that movie.
Fantastic in it.
Yeah, and so there's good parts in it. And maybe I'm tainted by that. When you take the name of a classic, and it doesn't have that classic feel to it, it always feels like a lesser substitution, I guess.
Okay.
But
well, the point being that it's all about the way the movies are covered.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So when that movie came out, and it had a rating of I think in the 70s, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
You could probably check
Yeah,
it actually, but I think its rating its Rotten Tomatoes scores is in the 70s. Ghostbusters.
Stand by for score check.
Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to pad while I do this.
Oh no, it's fine, man.
Let's see, Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters 2016.
Way to go! Hashtag Wi-Fi. Search is taking too long to respond.
Boo. I thought you had it up there a second ago.
I had the homepage up there.
Oh,
no, maybe it's my phone that's taking too long to respond.
Yeah, it's your phone. It sucks.
This week on Waiting for Technology.
Oh my God. Why is your phone lousy?
I don't know. I give up on it. But
me wanting to look it up now. Ghostbusters.
You know, it'd be great if we had our listeners in the chat room do this shit for us.
Ghostbusters Rotten Tomatoes.
74%.
Okay, so yeah, I was right.
Yeah.
So Ghostbusters has 74%, but
Ghostbusters 2 only has a 53%.
Well, that's right.
Anybody that does not know that the
Ghostbusters 2
Statue
is
of
not
Liberty,
good.
taking a walk through downtown New York, is cinematic mastery.
Ghostbusters 2 is not a good movie.
Go pound sand.
Ghostbusters 2 is not a
Your
good movie.
love
It's not
higher.
a good movie. The 2016 one's better than the Ghostbusters 2. But
Crazy.
Yeah, no.
Beagle, Scourge of
But
Carpathia.
like I said, it's all about how these movies are talked about.
Right.
That movie was described as this huge disaster, and that it was terrible, and that nobody liked it, and yet Joker, which is actually doing worse, at least in terms of reviews from critics.
Right. Yeah.
Because we never talk about audience reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. We only talk about
No.
reviews. In terms of critical reviews, the Ghostbusters movie was deemed a failure.
Yeah.
But Joker is actually doing worse than that.
Right.
But do we talk about it as a failure? No, we talk about it as a Best Picture contender.
Right.
And even I do it. I mean, I've described it as a Best Picture contender because I think it is.
I think Joaquin Phoenix should get an award. I mean, I think
I agree with you on that too.
I mean, part of the thing is, number one, just to clarify to anybody listening out there, why we're saying we discount the audience things is, the critics, when you look at these,
I discount the audience too.
When you look
discount them too.
When you look at the ratings, the critics ratings, you're always going to skew about 10 points up from what's actual, and the audience ratings are always going to skew about 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 points down, because everybody coming out of a movie theater, these are exit polls, so everybody coming out of the movie theater is like, yeah, it's cool, it was great, yeah. How much you give it?
Well,
They're not giving it much thought, so they're going to say
Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes, it's people who are going on the Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I'm talking about like Metacritic and what's the other?
Like Cinema Score.
Cinema Score. That's what I'm looking for.
Cinema Score.
They say A through F, and you're like, and most people aren't really giving it much thought. They say, oh, it was an A, I liked it, but that's not, everything's on A. But yeah, I mean, what did you think of? Not to spend too much more time on this, but what did you think of the reasoning behind the laugh? I thought that was, I can't tell if I think it was genius or silly, but I'm pretty sure I'm leaning towards genius. So
I kind of liked it.
Yeah, they Joker obviously has to laugh, and they make it a stress reaction, like a Tourette's based like involuntary stress reaction that he has. And there's this great scene where I was wondering how
it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It makes sense. And I heard about that before the movie. And I was like, well, I wonder how they're going to explain that. And there's this great little scene where they're on a bus when Arthur Fleck is still, I don't know if he's redeemable, but he's still trying to be a decent person in the world. And there's this little kid in front of him, and he's making faces on the bus. And the mom leans back and says, leave my kid alone, weirdo, or whatever. And he just starts laughing. And she's like, you think something funny? And he hands her a card that says, please forgive me. This is a condition, and I'm not laughing at you or something like that.
Yeah.
And the way he used that tool in his toolbox throughout, meaning Joaquin Phoenix.
I mean, I think it's also indicative of the Gotham that he lives in, and kind of our society now. If someone were to hand you that card now, I mean, some of us might be sympathetic, but I think, like in her case, she was like, she really didn't care.
She was like, this fucking city's full of weirdos.
Exactly. And that would make him feel worse,
right,
about his situation, which is really something that's not in his control.
Yeah.
which like everything in his life, it was basically out of his control. It was just like one more thing,
right? And there is some good social commentary in there that's getting not overlooked, but with the bad that's done. But part of the reason that Fleck goes down this road and gets to be where he's going to be is and really it's mixed up in the making the rich bad guys part of it, which ends up getting mixed up in the is he bad for killing these people thing. But they cut all public funding for mental health, and so here's a guy who's really down on his luck.
Same kind of crap we're doing today.
Yeah, the only thing that's keeping him going is his prescriptions that he gets from his weekly social worker visit, and he goes in, and now you're not getting the medicine, you're not getting this, and that's the precipice or the precipitating factor.
All ties into our healthcare industry, and it's all tied together.
Yeah,
and these things, societal issues are what drive people to do violence in a lot of these cases, in almost every case. When you tie into these, when you look at the situations where people are forced into extreme circumstances, it's due to factors like that. It's due to societal pressures,
right?
Economic pressures.
Not even necessarily extremes. I mean, everybody's got different breaking points in movies and in real life. I mean, so if you get somebody whose shell is a little bit cracked or a little bit thinner than everybody else, it's going to break on a less extreme event. So these things that happen that are reflected in this movie in a very post-apocalyptic almost kind of way, because obviously Gotham has never been well, it could be Detroit, I guess, but it's never been like anywhere that we have now. But it's a very closer reflection now than it has been in anything else.
Yeah. What do you think about Todd Phillips' direction in the movie, though? I mean, because for me, like I said, I still feel like he tried to mimic Scorsese a little too much for me.
Yeah, so
But like the one time I thought
what do
he
you
was
mean?
different, where I felt like, because Todd Phillips, those who don't know, is the guy who did the Hangover trilogy, the Old School, War Dogs. We really started to see him take a shift towards dark during Hangover 3, which was barely a comedy. It was barely a comedy. It was more of a dark crime comedy, and then he went over and did War Dogs, which was also sort of a dark comedy that had realism thrown into it. So he was kind of making this shift. But there's really only one scene in the movie that felt like a Todd Phillips scene to me.
Which one?
And it was the one involving the little person.
Uh-huh.
When he was trying to escape a very dire situation, and he could not. He could not for reasons.
I felt so bad for laughing.
Everybody felt bad for him in that scene. And everybody was like, "Oh God, please don't hurt him." But in a different context, that scene could have been in The Hangover.
Oh, there was another scene, and I can't believe either I am this much further down intellectually than everybody else around me, or I have a darker sense of humor or something. But there's a scene when Arthur Fleck is at the hospital. He's sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and two cops come to talk to him. And he he gets all sassy, and he's like, leave me alone, whatever. And he turns and walks all diligently into the hospital, but the door doesn't open when he's walking, and he walks right into it and falls down.
Yeah.
Why was I the only one that laughed at that? That shit was hilarious.
No, it was funny. But there weren't a lot of scenes that made me feel like this was a Todd Phillips movie.
No, it wasn't a funny movie by any stretch of the imagination.
No, not really.
No, but the Scorsese thing, and this might be me showing my ignorance, but Scorsese's got I will know a Scorsese movie when I look at it, but I can't say what that Scorsese thing is. Like with Michael Bay, obviously, Ang Lee, not John Cho. He's in Harold. He's in Harold and Kumar. John. What the hell's his name? He worked with Chow Yun Fat all the time. He did Face Off and Hard Target. John Woo. Not John Chow. John Woo. John Woo. I can tell you. I can't tell you his name.
What's the last John Woo movie you've seen?
I don't know, but I can tell you his movies when I see him. If you see more than one dove in a movie, it's a John Woo movie.
He hasn't done the dove thing in years.
I know, but it's his. So. There are hallmarks, and I can't think of a single Scorsese hallmark other than violence. Like what's a Scorsese hallmark in your mind?
It's mostly about the grittiness of it, the use of eclectic music to kind of draw a contrast to the world around you. I know it when I see it, and I expect to see it soon in The Irishman in a couple weeks.
Oh, for sure. Like the color palette. It definitely felt Scorsese to me, but it was very. I mean, the mix of, and it was appropriate for Joker, so I just assume that's why. But maybe this is Todd Phillips trying to get a style. The mix of serious of comical things in a serious place. Like his dances. Whenever he would do these dances in random places, or when he hit the laugh, or just certain ways he would do things. Like his stand-up gig seemed very different to me. So I mean, I could see kind of a Todd Phillips signature being birthed in a way, but not really. It seems more like a mix of everything at this point. But I can definitely see the Scorsese color palette, the feeling, it feels like the same city that Goodfellas could have taken place in, or something like that.
Yeah. All right. I think we talked enough about Joker, don't you think?
Yeah. New York Comic Con's going on this week.
Really? Has anything happened in it?
I don't know. I brought it up so you could talk about it.
I don't know anything about New York Comic Con. I wasn't there.
I mean, there have
been trailers.
The Walking Dead spinoff.
Walking Dead spinoff should have had a trailer. The Walking Dead's been renewed for an 11th season.
Shocker. Maggie's coming back to Walking Dead because Whiskey Tango Foxtrot Whiskey Cavalier got canceled
real quick.
Poor Lauren Cohen.
Back. I like her too.
I do too, dude. I know you don't watch Supernatural, but the role she played, her hottest role was in Supernatural. You watch season 3. Her name wasn't Ruby. That was somebody else. I forget what her name is. But she was
Lauren Cohan Supernatural.
Yeah, she was amazing, and she even had she had the classy British accent on in it too.
Ooh.
So, but yeah, Lauren Cohan, she left. Thankfully they were smart enough not to kill her off. She left and went to I believe it's called the Association. Or something.
The reason why I stopped liking. Oh damn! Look at Lauren Cohan Supernatural just popped up on its own.
Yeah, man.
Ooh.
You sleep on the Winchester brothers, man.
Ooh, hello.
Yeah, right.
Okay. I'm down with that.
And she was like a bad
I'm down with that.
like thief. It was hot.
One of the reasons why I stopped liking The Walking Dead is because of this very thing. Like one of the things I liked about it was that it was unpredictable. I didn't know who was going to die,
Right.
or I didn't know who was leaving. I had no idea. Like from week to week, it was one of the show's big things. Now it's not like that.
No, they lost their balls. Yeah.
I know who's going. I know who's leaving. I know when they're leaving, and I know if it's a big star, they're probably not going to die.
Yeah, when they didn't kill. Now I'm still on board watching
If you're
the show.
T-Dog, you die.
Yeah.
If you're Andrew Lincoln,
T-Dog. Nobody said
Andrew
T-Dog in
Lincoln,
10 years.
You get to go away and do more movies. If you're Michonne, well, you're a big star. You're in Black Panther. You're probably not going to die. She's probably not going to die. She's going to get out of this season alive.
Yeah, you can't kill
Michonne. She's going to leave. She's leaving, but she's going to get out of there alive.
Which does jive with the comic book, so I can give them that. But that's by luck only
That's bullshit because they've long since.
No, I know. I'm just saying. But ever since they didn't kill Rick Grimes, and they decided to have him blow up, but then wash up down the river, and then the first time we ever see a helicopter in a series picks him up. I mean that. It did lose me a bit. I will watch the show until it ends just because I like the post-apocalyptic setting. But as far as being an unpredictable,
you should do recaps on it.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, I'm done.
No,
Been there,
really
done that.
shouldn't.
I didn't like doing that.
You really shouldn't.
It's so boring to do recaps because you're just reciting what happened in the episode. But
recaps suck.
Yeah. So I mean, it lost its Game of Thrones-ness years ago. It used to be, for me, the number one show, and then Game of Thrones, and then everything else, and then Game of Thrones took over, and then season 8 came on Game of Thrones, and then I don't know. I guess I started watching The Flash again.
That season with Negan where he first killed what's his name?
Yeah,
I didn't really give a shit that they killed Glenn. I mean, I liked Glenn, but I didn't really give a shit that they killed him. I thought it was good for them to do something to take a step like that. But like ever since that season, I have just totally lost interest. I never saw that episode where Rick left. Yeah, I never watched hardly anything in that season.
I saw it, but I saw it 3 months late. And here's the thing that really shows the lack of draw on it is, I started missing it, and it wasn't a conscious decision. It's just like Sunday came and left, and I didn't watch it, and then I didn't catch up with it.
Yeah, so it's coming back tonight, and I'm probably not going to watch it.
Yeah, and see, I even thought it was coming back next week, so I apparently still have no idea what's going on with it.
It goes back tonight, and I'm not watching it. I'm watching wrestling.
At least if you get mad at a show, if you get pissed off enough at a show to make a conscious decision, like it's on tonight, I'm not watching it. I'm done.
Batwoman is tonight too.
Yeah, well, yeah, it must be. It's the first week of August. That's usually when CW starts coming back.
First week of what?
October is the month we're actually in, not August.
I'm debating whether or not I want.
What do you think of that outfit, though?
I like the outfit.
It's weird to me. I like Ruby Rose.
I like Ruby Rose too.
It's something about the hair in the outfit. I don't know. And the red.
Ruby Rose is
I think
sexy.
it should be yellow. Yeah, she is.
She is sexy.
She's scary. She's scary, sexy too. But she's.
I know, but I think scary is sexy.
It is, but like they're sexy and then they're scary and then they're scary sexy, which is her, which is like you better hope you do the right things or else you might not have balls when you're done.
I know, but I like that threat. That threat's fun.
It is. It's just scary too.
That threat adds spice.
Yeah. And she's got that look that's like her look is like delicate but vicious at the same time. I don't know.
I like this.
It is.
So I don't know if I'm gonna watch it or not. I feel like I'm so totally out of the CW Arrowverse right now that I'm like, is this going to be my window back in? Like, have they started the other shows yet? Are they back yet?
I don't know. we 2 seasons ago this was we cut cable, and when we cut cable we lost our DVR. Yeah, and DVR is usually how we watch the shows, and now we're 2 years away. And these shows were our Bible.
All these shows I used to watch. I used to watch the 100. I used to watch all the Arrowverse shows All these shows I had on CW, when I switched over to Hulu, I lost everything.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, I haven't caught up with them. I don't even know when
Yeah,
they
you
come
start
back.
to realize these things you needed so badly. It really doesn't matter if you watch them or not. But
I put them in my queue, and I was like, okay. And I would try to watch them, but I was like, I can't remember if I watched this episode or not.
right. It becomes intimidating.
I don't know if I watched this one. And I'm like, and I'll start watching one. I'll watch like 30 minutes of it, and I'm like, oh, wait, I think I've watched this one already before.
Yeah.
And then I'll stop and I'll move on to the next one. I'm like, I don't remember this one.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on.
It's that fuzziness that's so funny because that's
Maybe
exactly.
I'm just old. Maybe I'm old. I don't remember.
No,
But I'm
because
just like,
that's well, I'm old too, but
I can't tell.
That's the same exact thing that happens to us because, like with Crisis on Infinite Earths, there's been at least 4 times over the last 2 years that Angela and I we have 2 problems. We can't decide which show to start with first when we watch them again, and we can't decide which episode we left off on. And when you try to do it, it's impossible.
This is why
you can't find it,
This is why I just stick with wrestling because I always know what's happening.
and you can get out and get right back.
I
in.
know the way the show starts. I know. Okay, I know I've not seen this one.
Yeah.
I know it's not. And it's live every week. I know what's going on. But these other shows, all those Arrowverse shows look the same,
They do,
and it's like they start the same. And I'm always just like, I don't know. I feel like I've seen this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they all have slightly different tones. Like Flash is the silliest, Supergirl is the most motivational, Arrow is the darkest, until Batgirl, I guess, or Batwoman, excuse me.
I just can't tell.
It's too much. And Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I feel like this the only way I can be certain that I'm caught up now is if I start over new with a new season.
Right? Yeah. Just
Like pretend the other ones didn't exist. I'm just gonna start right now.
right. Exactly. I mean, that's the only way to properly do it, I guess.
But if I've already missed an episode, well, then they're probably short.
Yeah,
probably not gonna.
They usually don't start until October. So this is the second week of October, not the yeah. So this week would be the number 1 week for it to start, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I had to look and see.
I don't know. Crisis on Infinite Earth. It seems like something that I really, really need to see. But then again, last year's crossover, I felt like I really, really needed to see it too. And Batwoman was there, and I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it.
What are you gonna do? There's a legit television show anxiety syndrome these days. Like you miss your show, you feel guilty, you can't decide where you want to get back into it. It's we don't need this shit, people. We don't need it.
No, it shouldn't be this difficult, man.
Right.
Everything should be easy like wrestling is.
Oh, how our cups run over. We shouldn't have to deal with so much
Sucks.
entertainment.
Sucks.
So many things we want. You
ever started watching?
Let's talk to 12-year-old us that couldn't find anything but a dirty comic book in a side corner store and tell them that we have too much comic book shit to watch.
I watched the first episode of Wu Assassins.
It was good though, right?
No, the first episode sucked.
You didn't like it?
No, and I wanted to because it's Iko Uwe. I mean, of course I like Iko Uwe.
Yeah. Well, you know me, I judge this stuff completely off fight scenes alone.
Yeah, but I mean the fight scenes weren't great. There was the one in the building.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty good. But all the shit around it was like.
Well, I just wasn't expecting, and this is my fault for not looking into what I was about to watch. I wasn't expecting the supernatural twist.
Oh yeah,
I did not know. I thought this was a great thing.
I'd actually forgotten about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
Until it happened.
Yeah.
And when it happened, I was like, I don't like the way they did that.
Yeah.
I was like, it didn't feel right.
It didn't look great. It didn't look great. Admittedly, I didn't.
And it didn't look great. And
I didn't get past the first episode because I just not for any quality reasons. I just didn't get back to it, like what we were talking about earlier. But yeah, there's this. It really feels like the Raid light, and then they get to this thing. He's like, "I will take on my Shaolin masters," and turns into a big samurai.
It totally does not need the supernatural aspect.
Yeah,
because I think that really took me out of it because I was just kind of like
it did for me. Yeah,
because if it was just a show about a chef who's a badass fighter who gets mixed up with the triads, okay,
I'm in.
That's it. That's all I need. I don't need this supernatural crap with all these ancient warlords and shit.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is not what I want to watch.
Yeah, I've never been a wire fighting guy.
that.
I've never been an anime guy,
that.
and I've never really been into like that kind of thing. But I don't mind it. But I felt like I got teased with the Raid, and then they gave me Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You know, which they're both great things. Don't get me wrong. But if you're expecting one, if you're expecting a sub, soup doesn't taste as good.
Yeah, no. Did you see those? We talked about Scorsese earlier.
Yeah.
Did you see his comments about Marvel? They made.
I did.
And a lot of people got really upset about that shit. Now,
It's
I'm not like I'm not.
Scorsese. Of course, he's not gonna like Marvel movies.
That shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter who he is.
Yeah.
Basically, if you guys don't know, Martin Scorsese came out and he made some anti-Marvel comments. Basically, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but basically, he basically called them a theme park, and that they're not cinema. Which I think,
Kind of valid.
Look. It's not. I don't think it's right to have that kind of blanket statement about Marvel movies. I don't think it's true.
I can see where he's coming from though, like because there's no clear division, but there is a difference between a Goodfellas or an Avengers Endgame. They're both great movies.
Not cinema is a bridge too far.
Yeah, his words are wrong.
I want to say they're a theme park, and they're designed to be entertaining only, which is fine.
It's also incorrect if you watch Endgame.
Those movies have those movies meant to be entertaining mostly too, but if it's those movies have a place too.
Yeah.
But to say they're not cinema, what he's basically saying is, but my movies are.
Right.
Which is like, man, fuck you. Silence sucks ass. I mean, that's why I want to respond to somebody who says some shit like that.
Yeah.
I actually don't think Silence sucks ass. But the thing is, Silence is a very well-made movie that no one in their right mind would watch twice. But you will watch a Marvel movie 100 times and enjoy it.
That's the thing about that's why.
So fuck you and your silence.
I'm always confused when people are saying like anybody that says like I have bad taste because I love Bloodsport. I've watched Bloodsport 158 times, and I will continue watching it because it's utterly rewatchable and fun. Yes. And that in the base core of it all is the point of a movie is to entertain and to have fun. Now, can we have movies
have other ambitions than that?
They can have greater ambitions. They absolutely can. But it doesn't make them not a movie if they don't. If anything, it makes them more of a movie if they do. It makes them more art if they don't. You know what I mean? Like I would be okay with him saying Marvel movies aren't art. And I know a lot of people will disagree with that because they take the art thing but I'm thinking art like in a museum type deal. So I would agree that Marvel movies are like pop art. It's pop music versus classical music. It's the division between those two things. Marvel movies are for everybody, and everybody loves them, and they can still evoke as much emotion and power and inspiration as anything else. But I can obviously tell the difference between that and The Departed or and anything else.
You know what Scorsese should have said?
I'm old.
Well, besides that, you know what he should have just said?
What?
You know what? Marvel movies, they aren't for me.
Yeah,
that's all he had to say. But no one would have said would batted an eye if he just said, you know what, Marvel movies aren't really my thing.
They probably would have said, yeah, we figured that.
Marvel movies aren't my thing. That's all.
We figured your Ant-Man shirt wasn't in the
irony of it is, it's coming out at a time when his style is being used to make a Joker movie.
Yep.
So it's like it's not as if your style is totally, antithetical to the superhero experience. Obviously, it can be adopted for the superhero experience.
Maybe we're going too broad with it. Maybe what he said was in fact what he meant, and he's just being Team DC and saying Marvel movies are like that, but DC movies are awesome.
I'm sure he's Team DC now,
right?
But if you're going to tell me that he couldn't make a Marvel movie, you could make that kind of movie with the Marvel character.
Oh yeah,
and Marvel would probably jump at the chance to do it. But not now. I mean, fuck you, Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
Actually, they probably still do it. In fact, they probably do it even more now because they'd be like, haha, look, we got him anyway.
Yeah, look at our power. Unlimited power.
Like, look whose soul we just bought.
Yeah.
This guy who was shitting on us a few months ago.
Could you make a movie who's a dark Marvel character? I know that's going to be something thrown right in my face right away, but I
don't think Scorsese could make a dark Punisher movie?
Oh, duh. Only my favorite Marvel character, and I said who's a dark Marvel character. Yeah, absolutely could. I mean, actually, there's probably no better character for Scorsese to tackle than the Punisher.
Yeah,
but
perfect.
Even in the Punisher, Marvel to me has always seemed lighter and fluffier. Even with the Punisher, even with somebody that's going out and murdering all these. And now, damn it, I didn't even think about the Punisher this whole time. Now I want to see Todd Phillips do a Punisher movie in the same way. That would be awesome.
Yeah, but it could be done. Easily be done. But James Gunn was the main one I saw who came out and talked to him and said they didn't like this. And
I love James Gunn more every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah, me too. And stood up and said he was saddened by Scorsese's comments because really what Scorsese was doing was really crapping on guys like him too who put a lot of work into their movies. And like I said,
saying what you're doing is not valid.
Right, exactly, and that's not right. That was my major beef with it. I don't give a shit if he thinks Marvel movies are theme parks, but calling them not cinema, I think it's like a step too far. He doesn't need to do that because you're invalidating the work of a lot of people who work really hard over at Marvel. So and their movies do have emotional, dramatic weight. All you need to do is look at what happened to Tony Stark.
Oh Jesus!
And the way people were crying in the theater I was at when we saw it. So I mean, it's just. Whether you like it or not, whether they affect you or not, they affect a lot of people.
Let's not even change settings or scenes. Tell me that you weren't moved, you felt no flutter, no goosebump when you heard Cap, it's Sam on your left.
It's still the best scene, other than
when he catches the hammer.
Other than the scene when he gets the hammer, on your left is the best scene of the year.
I will venture to say Scorsese has never created a scene that's that motivating. No, he's never. You tell me a Martin Scorsese scene that does as much emotionally.
I don't.
And I will shut up. But no, Scorsese has never done something that emotionally moving as Cap holding Mjolnir and Sam saying on your left.
Oh my God,
Hasn't done it
anyway. Look, Endgame has two of the greatest scenes of the year, easily,
right
by far. I need to get. There's an on your left.
I got goosebumps now just thinking about it.
There's an on your left shirt.
Is there?
I need to get it, and I always say I'm going to get it. I haven't got it yet.
I started running just so I could say that to people on the track.
On your left.
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all. That
you
started running.
I don't. I didn't. I'm all walking.
But,
senior citizens, a bunch of Stan Lees.
Do
you see that? Who is it? Somebody put out a Stan Lee action figure. I'm trying to see. He's got his Stan Lee gear on, and he's got a Cap shield, and it's got his autograph on it.
I've seen the one where he's got a Thanos glove on. Too.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I saw he had a for some reason he had a briefcase, and he had a Cap shield in the one I saw.
There's a Stan Lee New York Comic Con exclusive that's out right now too. But I think he's in like an astronaut outfit or something. But I can't remember, or maybe it's him as the Watcher. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
That would be.
But anyway,
cool.
yeah. So there's that's out there. We only got a few minutes left, I think, before we should really start to wrap up. But our buddy Kevin Smith has done something.
Did you want to go to this? After what you said earlier, I said that I was thinking maybe he does say Clerks 3. He talks a lot more than I do actually. But Clerks 3 is happening. Is that right? There's the picture. That's the picture. That's the proof.
Yeah.
That D-bag on the right is the one who's like, I'm too good.
Jeff Anderson. Yeah. Jeff Anderson is the one who convinced him to do it.
But he's the one who wouldn't do it years ago.
Okay, but it doesn't really matter, does it? He wants to do it now, so they're going to do. He says we're going to do. It matters
because that's where I'm coming from.
And apparently, they're going to do Clerks 3 after he's finished with everything he's doing right now. So
I am glad. You know what? Anderson probably did everybody a service because from everything he said, he wrote Clerks 3 when he was in a very weird place. Right after he started smoking weed, before he did Tusk, when he hated all critics and stuff like that.
Clerks 2 was 2006, right?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
God.
It's 13 years.
That's ridiculous.
And Clerks 2, it's one of my favorite rewatchable movies. That and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I know people go to Chasing Amy and Dogma a lot with Kevin Smith, but one of the reasons I'm such a big fan of his is Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Clerks 2.
They were at the All Elite Wrestling show I went to on Wednesday.
Did you see my message to you?
Mm-mm.
I said because I saw you went to AEW, and then I saw someone on Twitter who was like, "Yeah, we came to see our buddy Jericho," and I messaged you and said, "Did you see Jay and Silent Bob there?"
I had tweeted this because I had seen them before they were announced.
Yeah,
I saw them walking to their seats. I was like, "Oh shit!" I just saw Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes.
What happened to Jason Mewes' face?
What do you mean?
His face, it's weird now.
He looks like Jason Mewes.
No, I think because all the drug use, I think he lost some teeth and they gave him fake teeth or something.
I don't know.
Tell me doesn't.
I've met Jason Mewes twice.
I actually have too, twice. But his
always
mouthful.
Nice.
His
always
mouth. Oh, he's a great
nice.
guy.
Always super nice. Met him at Sundance one year.
See, look at Clerks 2, and he's not in the other picture, but look at that picture from Clerks 2 in his mouthful area, and then wait till you see him again in a newer one.
I mean, his mouthful area. I mean, he looks like he's lost weight.
Maybe that's what it is.
Else.
I don't know.
And that he's gotten older.
I shouldn't face shame.
You shouldn't discount the fact that these movies are like a dozen or plus years apart.
Yeah, that's true too.
Kevin Smith from the earlier movies looks nothing like the Kevin Smith now.
No, not in the least.
Kevin Smith now looks like he just rolled out of like his deathbed.
Yeah, he looks almost too small.
He's way too small.
He for like a minute and a half. For like a minute and a half, he got us all on the vegan bandwagon. We're like, maybe it is something. We're like, no, that's not healthy. That's too far.
Yeah, he's way too skinny now.
Yeah,
but they were All Elite Wrestling, which is pretty cool. But Jason Mewes has always been nice every time I've met him. Like I said, met him at Sundance.
Yeah,
saw him again this year at Comic Con.
I mean, he's a very down to earth. I mean, he's a guy who's from Jersey, and his best friend accidentally accidentally put him in a movie that was accidentally famous, and he's run that whole way. So he's a very regular guy.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah, thanks for your help, Ben. Clerks 3, I mean, Clerks 2, I think a lot of people sleep on how emotionally anchored that movie was, and that jail scene at the end when Dante and Randall have their talk and they decide to buy the Quick Stop. It's a silly, stupid movie with a donkey show in it, but it's very emotionally taxing at that point. I mean, there's a big heart to that story, and I think Clerks 3. I just hope that Clerks 3 has somewhere else to go.
All of his movies have a certain amount of heart to them because they all represent things that he's going through in a lot of ways. Like Clerks was when he was kind of struggling with his faith, and
Yeah.
Clerks. I mean, he was a young guy, who's just trying to get by.
Clerks was literally his day to day. Yeah.
Right. All these movies have some sort of aspect to them that are grounded in his reality, and I expect
Right.
Clerks 3 will as well.
See, look,
The thing is just he promises this. He's promised this movie a lot, and when I did our post about it on punchdrunkcritics.com, I kind of went through them all.
Yeah.
Like all the times that he's
He
promised.
even had a screen production, or a stage production version at some point.
Well, I mean, he first started talking. Well, I don't know if this was the first time he started talking about it. He was talking about it back when he was trying to make that hockey movie.
Yeah, hit somebody.
Hit
Yep.
somebody, which I don't think ever happened.
No, it didn't happen. No.
Just never happened.
See, that's
Like, he has all these projects that he plans to do.
so does
that don't
everybody,
ever
but he's the
happen.
only one dumb enough to talk about him all the time. And I
Talks about
love
him- talks
Kevin.
about him a
Smith.
lot.
Yeah,
Talks about him a lot.
Most people don't talk about him until the cameras are about to start rolling, but he talks about him as soon as they start coming up, and that's why you don't hear about most of them.
And
But-
that's also why I'm not super pumped for this yet.
no, yeah, no, you got to get
Not
further
until
down.
not until something's happening. I wasn't pumped about Jay and Silent Bob reboot until they were actually filming it.
Yeah,
Because
after the Mallrats stuff,
all these
I
things
stopped
are
getting excited.
all these things are kind of like it's going to happen, but then you don't hear anything about it for like
Yeah.
6 months. So you go, we couldn't get funding. I was like, oh well, we're going to do this, and couldn't get funding, couldn't find distribution. Oh well,
Well, you remember Mallrats where they had like
over and
Shannon
over and over
Doherty
again.
and everybody taking pictures,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then you never hear anything again. But
Yeah, I don't want that to happen with this because if they're going to wrap up this story, if they're going to wrap up the Clerks story, and this would have to be some sort of wrap up, right? Like
Yeah.
It's the third movie. It should be the time to wrap it up.
But it's the second sequel in a movie that shouldn't have had any sequels. So
Right.
I mean, there were
But they're
good
also
sequels,
but they're also sort of taking places in different decades. Like,
Yeah.
Clerks was in the 90s, I believe.
Yeah.
Clerks 2 was in
2000s.
06, 2000s, and then you get this one. This one might not make it out in time to be out.
No, it'll be out in 2021 or 2 if it comes out. But,
Right,
yeah.
so it was, but close enough.
Yeah.
So they're all taking places in different facets of his life. And unless he wants to make one when he's 80, like Clerks 4 when he's 80
Yeah.
or something, which I guess would be a really different facet of his life.
Yeah.
But more than likely, this would be the last one. I like that idea. I mean, I really
Yeah.
do. It feels like a movie that like a bunch of movies that deserve to have a natural ending like this. So I want to see it happen. I really do,
And
I hope it does. I mean, I'm always going to be, despite my criticisms of Kevin Smith, which got me mentioned on his show, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm one of his biggest fans.
Yeah.
I love his work, and I hope he knows that. And I hope everybody. Yeah, I love his movies, but I love his View Askew movies.
Yeah.
So far, like he's not done anything outside of that I've loved.
I did like Yoga Hosers.
I am a fan of his.
I will admit that I thought Yoga Hosers is not a good movie at all, but
God.
it was fun to watch. I liked watching it. But Tusk,
that was
I thought Tusk had some. The biggest problem with Tusk was and far be it from me to tell somebody that's been in the business for 30 years how to make a movie since I've never made one, but the reveal was far too early. Like he's turned into a walrus, and all of the suspense is gone. Like we know they're not going to
Kevin
save him.
Smith movies don't play anywhere. Like, do you ever just run across a random Kevin Smith movie on like Showtime or something or HBO?
Netflix has yes, Jane and Silent Bob and Clerks 2 has them randomly.
I've never seen Clerks 2 randomly ever.
I did. Hulu does it sometimes, and Netflix has it sometimes. But
That's not random. That's just a movie you can pick.
Well, yeah, no, I don't know.
I'm
I
talking
don't have
about
TV.
something that's like on HBO.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, not like a movie that you can just pick. Like, I'm gonna watch it. No, I'm talking like a movie that's like on HBO. And like, I just came across this movie. Like, what happens all the time.
Yeah.
That,
No,
I've never had that happen with a Kevin Smith movie where I just
No.
like, oh wow, what's that doing?
You have to search them out for sure. I mean, at the end of the day, if this happens,
And I don't know if that's something that's like him, like maybe he does that,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it's the fact that a lot of those movies were like old, like Weinstein movies.
Yeah.
maybe
That's probably more to do
that
with
could
than
be as
anything
much
else.
to do with it as anything else.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, obviously, it all depends on how reboot does. And I'm really looking forward to Jane Silent Bob
Did you get
reboot.
your tickets?
No, I did not. I didn't get tickets
I
for
got
Reboot Road Show
I got my tickets for next week.
next week. Is it next week?
15th? The 15th and the 17th are the 2 days it's playing.
Right, but I'm talking about the Roadshow tour.
Okay. well,
Yeah, I'll have to get.
I got
my
mine
tickets
for
in.
the 15th.
I'll have to go get tickets
So.
in. I didn't realize that. I'm a bad fan apparently.
The 17th is the day they're doing a double header.
Right. Okay.
Right. The 15th they're just showing the one,
Mm-hmm.
which is Jay and Silent Bob reboot. So I'm going to go to that one.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pick up tickets for that tonight if there's any still available. But
Yeah.
As long as Reboot does well, we'll definitely see Clerks 3. And I think at the end of the day, if you look back on his career, that'd be a really cool way to. I mean, it's sad because that means his career will be almost at an end. But you're punctuating beginning, middle, and end with Clerks movies.
Kevin Smith's one of those guys. He's going to be a lifer. He's going to keep making movies.
Oh yeah. But I mean, he'll.
Why doesn't our mouse work?
I think he's actually. I would be surprised if he kept making movies, and less surprised if he moved more into TV. I mean, he's got the Masters of the
How am I
Universe
supposed
show.
to end the stream if our mouse doesn't work?
That's a good question. Sim Salabim. No, that didn't work.
Oh wait, I can hit that.
We have an end button. We do have an end button.
I can hit that.
And on that note, I guess it's time to cut out of here. So if you don't have anything else until next week, I'm John.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if we're going to be here next week. Just because I don't know, because I've got Middleburg coming up. I don't know if it's not this coming week though, so maybe we will be here next week.
We can do a remote and nothing else, just a quick thing.
Yeah, so no, I think we should be here next week. Next week is Gemini Man.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Excuse me, it is Gemini Man. It's also Lucy in the Sky, which is coming out here in DC. It should be out in other places now. So we do got some stuff to talk about next week. So we can definitely do that. All right, cool. Next week.
Every day, punchstrongcritics.com. Check us out.
Punchstrongcritics.com.
Hashtag Studios, Twitch TV, all these other places.
Yes.
Talk to y'all later.
Bye.
See ya. I can't stand wearing headphones for like that long. Take them off and it's like glued to my ear.
Yeah.
Fuck, I can't believe that. Dude, time is going so fast. I didn't even think that it was coming up that quickly. It is almost October 15th, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Fucking year's gone way too fast.
Every single one seems to go a little bit faster.
Yep, pretty soon it'll be dead.
Awesome. And with that, I'm off to live my life. I gotta go pick up Angela and the kids. I left them at her uncle's house.
Oh, okay.
I'm actually getting a date with my wife tonight.
What?
Yeah, her little cousin is 13 now, so he's been itching to watch to babysit, make some money. So probably cooked it up. Which one?
I was just looking to see which one. No.
working. All right, cool. I'll get it up here.
Yeah, you gotta click the mouse to actually engage it.
Gotcha. There it
When you click
goes.
the mouse, the arrow comes up.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the extra part on our Patreon. We're ending the stream now.